was a tough spring for no-till. Everybody knows we had a really cool spring and a delayed start. And when we had that window of no rain, tried no-tilling into these, and we found, I think that's 2 times closed. So the farm does have a vertical till implement, and what we found in the past working with other farms in the area is that having that vertical till, running that, just scratching the ground lightly and waiting a day allows you to come in and plant, do a good job of planting. So that's what we did here. Vertical till here, we ran kind of deep enough where we did this lodge, the cover crop, most of it is not rooted. The concept I'm going to be spending a lot of time on is this corn seedling. It has 2 root systems. And one, there's a temporary root system called the seminal root system. And that one is the one that's attached to the seed. So it's just a temporary system just to get that plant going. And then now, starting last week, we have what's called the nodal roots. These brighter white ones are forming. And if we think back to last week before we had this rain, what was the state of this ground? It was pretty hard. And when you have that condition, these nodal roots have a hard time expanding. They want to grow kind of sideways and out like this. And in a no-till situation, especially early on during the transition years, when it's that hot and dry like we had, that no-till ground can get hard. So it's not unexpected to see no-till early on, last week and this week, looking a little farther behind than the field next door that was worked. But that's a temporary thing. You're going to see this corn all of a sudden, now that it rained, the soil's much softer, these nodal roots can expand. The other thing to note, if you dig up a plant like this, and you look at it sideways, you can kind of see all these first roots grew in a straight line. And that was in the straight line where the disc openers ran. So that was kind of a crack that formed as the ground got drier, and it kind of restricted the roots. But there again, now that it rained, you can see these nodal roots are kind of going where they want to go. So the message here, if your neighbor's field next door looks a little better right now, that's not unexpected. And the other thing to think about is, what does our normal spring look like? What we just went through, is that normal? Or is it much more common to get your corn in, get it planted, everything looks good, and then it rains way too much and the field turns to mud? Which field would look better under those conditions? The work ground that's 3-4 inches of mud saturated, or this no-till system that can take that water and take it away? So that's an important thing to talk about. So the other thing I noticed this year, this seminal root system normally doesn't get that long, but it's interesting because of the lack of rain how long these things got. I've never seen that seminal root get that long. So, and that too, in a no-till system, I think the reason it was able to do that, it kind of followed that crack down and then probably found a wormhole or an old root channel and was able to go down. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint, but I really like what we see here in these fields today.